Hi, I'm Suzanne Summers, and welcome to my kitchen. I've been living in this home for 22 years now, and so much of what is in my Somersize program began in this kitchen. I've been cooking since I was a little girl, and one of the most rewarding things to me are all the letters that I've received from you, those of you who are Somersizing, who've read Eat Great, Lose Weight, and Get Skinny on Fabulous Food. The letters are saying that you love the food and you love that you are cooking for the first time. So today I'm going to give you some techniques that will turn you from a good cook to a great chef. This food is loaded with flavor, and there are certain little techniques that I want you to know so that you can wow your friends and family. We're going to start today with a fruit smoothie. The great thing about a fruit smoothie is that there are no rules. I have recipes for smoothies in Eat Great, Lose Weight and also in Get Skinny. But really what it's about is what looks great, what's in season, and when it's not in season, frozen fruit, bagged frozen fruit is delicious for smoothies because it's frozen, so it makes it icy. Today I'm using a mango, which I love mangoes. It's probably my favorite fruit. Also, I've got a Mexican papaya, and Mexican papayas are wonderful. They're earthier than the Hawaiian papayas, and they cost less, which is nice. So I'll use about half of this papaya here. I've got some fresh raspberries, some orange juice, and some ice cubes. That's all you need. Okay, do you know how to cut a mango? You cut on the side like this. This half here, we're going to scoop that out. You take the other side and cut it down. So first we're going to take this mango and scoop it out, put it in your blender. This is so yummy. The reason I'm putting some ice cubes in this morning is because I'm not using frozen fruit. But if I was using frozen fruit, I wouldn't bother with the ice cubes. It would get too watery. Okay, let's take out about half of this. That looks so delicious. Papaya is wonderful. Next, I'm going to add these beautiful fresh raspberries. But again, if they're not in season, buy frozen raspberries. They'll be fabulous. And for this much fruit, I fill up the blender, I would say, about halfway with orange juice. Okay? I'm going to put the ice cubes in, maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7, 8. It's not, it's not specific. That's the nice thing about a smoothie. You can't wreck it. Okay, now I'm ready to turn it on. Do this for about a minute to 2 minutes until it looks like it's all blended. Sometimes I like to leave it not terribly pureed so that it has some little pieces of fruit. Let me just taste that. That's delicious. Okay. Pour it into a glass. Is that beautiful? And if you want to garnish with a piece of mint, if you're having a brunch or something like that, put a little piece of mint. Voila. Here we have it, a beautiful, delicious fruit smoothie. I'll take a sip. Yum. This is my husband, Alan Hamill, of 32 years, and he is the most incredible cook. I love his breakfast in particular. And the way our marriage has survived all these years is that he makes breakfast and I make dinner. And I like it that way. He makes the most incredible breakfast for me every morning, and I look forward to it. This morning we're going to make Alan's fried eggs and onion nests, which are so unbelievable. The onion nests replicate in some way that the potatoes that you're missing, and I find that I like the crispy fried onions better than I used to like the fried potatoes. And we're going to have Alan's awesome bacon. Watch and learn. Okay, Alan, how do we do this?
Okay. First of all, I have to tell you that for years I didn't eat bacon and eggs because I was worried about all the cholesterol, and I eat bacon and eggs with toast and I'd get all bloated. So this is what has evolved that has solved that problem. I have bacon and eggs now at least 3 or 4 times a week.
Probably.
Right? Okay. So you get a big Spanish onion and just very thin slices. almost as thin as you can make them.
Yeah,
No
so
more
big.
than, yeah, no more than like maybe a 1/16 of an inch wide.
Then they get real crispy.
Yeah.
And you fry them in olive oil.
Olive oil.
Olive
Only
oil.
olive oil. I don't use butter. Okay.
Okay.
Well, the onions are ready.
Okay.
Okay. I've sliced them into little thin slices, as you can see. They're ready to go in the olive oil.
Okay.
Next, we take the
It's a
bacon.
little messy.
We take the bacon. We take the bacon and cut it into 1-inch squares,
Why do you cut them into 1-inch squares?
because this way they cook evenly and they get all crispy. And when you put them on top of the eggs, you don't have part of the bacon that's done and part of the bacon that isn't done. Okay, we've got the onion sliced, we got the bacon chopped. Let's cook.
Can't wait.
Put the bacon there for a minute. Okay, it's going to get this pan heated up real good. It's very important to make sure that the olive oil is as hot as you can get it just before it starts to burn. So let's put these onions in. Okay. All right.
Is that enough?
That's enough onions? Yep. So we're going to let this cook for about 10 minutes. It'll take about 10 minutes to get it nice and brown. I've got the heat very high. At some point, I'm going to turn the heat down and just sort of gently let them get golden brown. They're going to be beautiful when we're done. Okay, so this is what it looks like after about 4 or 5 minutes. It's just starting to get nice and brown. And actually, some of these are getting a little burned, which is great because not only does it look nice, it will taste incredible. You'll love this burnt flavor.
I
So I'll
can
just-
vouch for that.
Okay, these are perfect right now. I'm going to take these off.
They
and-
almost look like they could be burned, but that's what really makes it taste so great.
Okay, put those aside right here.
Here's the bacon.
There's the bacon. Just get it heated up a little bit. Okay, this is the big secret. Here we have great olive oil, onion-flavored great olive oil. Now I'm going to put bacon in. Okay, thank you. Okay, this will take just a few minutes until they're crispy. Then I'm going to drain them really well. I'll save the olive oil that's left, and that's what we cook the eggs in. Okay, the bacon is perfect right now. Let's take it out. We'll mix it in with the onions over here that are draining. And you'll notice that I'm leaving the olive oil in the pan while I take out the bacon, okay? The oil is heating up. Again, get it real hot. All right, here we go. Okay, thank you. A little salt. Pepper. If you like pepper, you can really go for it with the pepper. Okay. Now, while you can see I've got a lot of olive oil in the pan, and I like to kind of move it around because we want to get the edges as crispy as we possibly can, because the texture and the taste of those crispy edges really adds to this whole dish. I like to scoop up some of this oil and just put it right on top of the eggs, and you'll notice that it's cooking. I've just helped it along. Okay, I put the top on, leave it on for maybe 30, 40 seconds because I've helped it along with the tablespoon scooping the oil on top of the eggs. These are ready. We take the bacon and the onions and make a little nest. We take these eggs. And there we have it. You will never eat toast or hash browns with your bacon and eggs ever again once you've tasted this.
Now I'm going to make you turkey sausage stuffing that is so delicious. You can stuff it into a chicken, or you can use it with pork. You can stuff it into different vegetables, all of which are in the Eat Great, Lose Weight cookbook. You'll find this recipe under a stuffed turkey, stuffed with turkey sausage stuffing, but today we're using a chicken, and then I'm going to show you how we can make this chicken last a week. This stuffing is in lieu of a bread stuffing, and I swear that once you have this, you will never go back to the bread stuffing ever again. It's a free food in terms of summersizing. It's loaded with flavor. It's the most delicious stuffing I've ever tasted. It's made of caramelized onions, which I will show you in a second, chopped shiitake mushrooms, or you can use oyster mushrooms, or you can use your regular, they call these the white mushrooms. Most grocery stores carry the white ones, and these are the shiitakes here. If I put the three kinds together, it's just loaded with flavor. That's my favorite way to do it, but any one of these will do. And from your butcher store, get turkey sausages, which you will then crumble out of their casings like this, and crumble them up in the pan, and it will make the most divine flavor. Okay, now we're ready to start cooking our mushroom sausage stuffing. Now what we're going to do is caramelize the onions. Caramelizing the onions is a whole other way of cooking onions rather than frying them or sauteing them. Caramelizing is a long, slow cooking of the onions. So it's not about high heat, it's about long and slow until they get golden. It takes patience. It's about 30 minutes or so, okay? So we're going to put a little olive oil in the pan and a little bit of butter, because that gets them kind of golden. And let that heat up a little bit. The butter's bubbling, so that means the pan is hot. And now we're going to add the onions, all sliced up. Okay, kind of get each onion coated with the butter and the olive oil. Stir it around, and then once you feel like you've coated each piece of onion ring with butter and olive oil, then you kind of just let them be on their own, checking in every few minutes or so to move them around. You don't want them to burn. As they start browning on the bottom, you move that up to the top and keep moving them around and around so that they all brown evenly and to a rich golden caramel color. That's why we call them caramelized. Okay, I'm cooking this over a medium-low heat for about 30 minutes. Well, we're about 10 minutes into the caramelized onions. You're just starting to see the caramel color emerge. And if you notice, the gas is very low, and it's just a patience game. You just want to take your time and make sure they don't burn, but that the caramel color starts emerging. All right, we're about 20 minutes into the caramelized onions now, and you can really see the caramel color coming up. But don't stop at this point, because they're not done. You want everything to be as dark as the darkest color that's in this pan. It's about another 10 minutes. Now, the reason I'm spending a lot of time with you on these caramelized onions is that they are a base for a lot of things that I make in the Somersize recipes. And caramelized onions and onions themselves are where the flavor comes from. The whole thing behind this food is that is loaded with flavor, and these onions are going to do it. Now, while the caramelized onions are cooking, I'm going to take another fry pan here, and I'm going to do the mushrooms separately. It says in the recipe to do them all in one pot, but I actually have found that I prefer now to do the mushrooms separate because I don't want the onions to get overcooked. So I've got the pan hot. Again, olive oil for the mushrooms. You just eyeball it. And we want to use butter on the generous side because mushrooms really take the flavor of butter beautifully. Get that melted. And this is on high heat because what we want to do with the mushrooms is get them crusty and full of flavor. And we're going to add the wine to them too. Okay. All right, that's ready. We're going to add these mushrooms. Get all of them coated. Yum, doesn't that look delicious? All right, the caramelized onions are done. Now look at the beautiful caramel color. It's pretty uniform, and the taste is divine. So these are done. And while the mushrooms are cooking in this next pot, I'm going to put the sausage in the pan that the onions were in. So I'm going to pour these onions into the bowl. Okay. Put all your sausage in the pan, and now we turn the heat up because this you want to cook all the way through. Okay, over here, meantime, see the mushrooms, they're starting to get crusty and browned on the bottom, so I'm going to add a little salt and some fresh ground pepper. Okay, once you have the sausages in the pan, stir them around because you want to crumble it up into little bits and get this cooked all the way through. Into these beautiful crusty mushrooms, I'm going to sprinkle fresh tarragon leaves, not the stems. The stems will be difficult to chew. We'll stir that around, and then I'm going to add the wine. Now, the secret to cooking with wine is a hot pan. If you pour wine into a pan and it doesn't steam up, that means your pan was not hot enough, and the alcohol is not going to cook off, and you're going to have a bitter taste from the wine. So we'll see if I'm doing okay. Now look at that. See what's happening with those mushrooms? A little while longer until it looks a bit on the dry side, and then they're done. In the meantime, I'll keep stirring around the sausages. The flavors are incredible on this dish. Okay, these mushrooms, I would say, are done. See what I mean by crusty? They're brown around the edges, and they're loaded with flavor. This is going to be so great. So I'm going to turn the heat off on those. The sausage is almost done. Now, it's important as you're cooking the sausage to keep breaking it up into little pieces, because you don't want big pieces. You want it all to be kind of uniform, maybe get it down to the size of the chopped up mushrooms. As soon as these are done, then we'll add all three ingredients together. Okay, I'm going to add the mushrooms to the caramelized onions. Scrape all the bits out of the bottom. The bits are where the flavor lie. So many people throw away the best part of food by throwing away those bits in the bottom of the pan. That's where the flavor is. That's why you use the same pan for your sausage that you did the onions in, because the bits from the onions are going to flavor the sausage. Okay? Turn that heat off. I'm going to add the sausage to the mushrooms and the caramelized onions. I'm going to stir this around. And here we have it. That smells so good. I have to taste it. Delicious. A good cook tastes food as you're cooking it. It's very important, because when you taste it at this point, you might think, well, it needs a little more salt, or maybe it needs a little more pepper. Frankly, right now, this is perfect. Okay, now you take a raw chicken or a turkey, if this is your Thanksgiving meal, which you will love, and we're going to stuff it, which is very simple. You just fill the cavity, which has been cleaned thoroughly, and all the excess fatty pieces taken off. I like to stuff it pretty generously, but the great thing about this stuffing, as opposed to a bread stuffing, what you have left over, you serve in a side dish, and it tastes equally as good. Whereas with a bread stuffing, the stuffing that wasn't cooked inside the bird never tastes as good. And then I'm going to turn this over and just stick a little into the back cavity too, and then we're going to truss it. It's so fragrant. The tarragon is really the secret. If you can get fresh tarragon, by all means, that would be the best. But dried tarragon will do. Okay, we're going to truss the chicken. Trussing is what keeps the stuffing inside. You truss the back side first, and then you'll turn it over and do the front side. Now, these are trussing needles. You can get them at any supermarket. I save mine. I use them over and over and over again. So I think about 3 needles for this back side will be good. Stick them in from one side of the skin to the other. If you have to do a little pulling of this wing here. Okay, and now we will take a piece of kitchen string. Kitchen string can also be bought at a supermarket, and there's no harm in cooking with it. And you just crisscross back and forth like you were sewing, and then tie it up in a little knot like that. One little bow. The bow is better than a knot because you can just sort of untie it when it's all finished. Now I'm going to turn it over gently to the other side. Some of your stuffing may fall out, but that's okay, you just put it back in. But that's the important thing about trussing. Once again, this will take 4 needles. Wrap it around the first one, kind of even it out, twist it, wrap it around the second one, wrap it around the third one in a crisscross, and now the final one. Okay, tie it together, make the little bow. It's like a little package, isn't it? Okay, now we're going to rub the entire bird with olive oil and salt and pepper and put some fresh chopped tarragon on it, and yum, yum, yum. The best way to do this is to just get your hands into it. And be sure after you handle all poultry to wash your hands thoroughly with antibacterial cleaner. Okay. Get it on the bottom. And I'm going to sprinkle it with salt. I really love the sea salt. I think it has a better flavor. So if you can find sea salt in your grocery store. And salt it liberally. Good exercise for your arms, too. Okay. And then a few grinds of fresh ground pepper. Okay. And then we're going to take a little of this fresh tarragon, which has been washed, and cut this all over the bird, because this will end up being part of your sauce, which will be delicious. Okay, this is all ready except for put a little wine. Use good wine. It doesn't have to be the most expensive, but a good wine with good flavor, because that's going to be the basis for your sauce. And drizzle it over, about a cup's worth, but more than that won't hurt. And you'll be basting with this liquid. It will evaporate. And the other thing I like to do, which isn't on the turkey recipe, but I like to dot the entire bird with butter, real good butter. Because again, this is all going to be the basis for your sauce. Just here and there and everywhere. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to do is put a foil tent. Now we just want to put it over the breast so the white meat of the breast does not get overcooked, but we want the rest to get brown. So just make a little tent right there like that. That will just keep it from getting overcooked. Okay, now I'm going to put this into the oven, 350, 20 minutes a pound. Have you ever seen this in the supermarket and wondered what it is? Well, actually, most of the time when you see it, it looks like this, so it's even more confusing. This is the celery root. Here's the celery on the top, which when you cut it off, you can use it for soups and stocks. And this is delicious. And this, for summer-sizing purposes, is an absolutely outstanding vegetable. This is what you will substitute mashed potatoes for. And when you taste this, you'll probably end up liking it better than mashed potatoes. Trust me. All you do with celery root is peel the celery root with a knife. It's a little too tough for a potato peeler. And underneath, you will find this beautiful, white, fleshy vegetable. I'll only do part of it so you can see it's very white. Now, it turns brown very fast. Don't worry about it, because when you cook it, it's not going to affect the flavor or the appearance of it at all. You peel all of this off until you end up with this, a peeled celery root. Then you take the celery root. Now you want to cut it into quarters. So that out of an entire celery root, you get about 12 pieces, about this size. You take a vegetable steamer. If you don't have one of these, this is a good investment, because it makes vegetables taste so good they don't get waterlogged. You put it in the pot, as we have here. with some water. And then you put your celery root pieces in, and you would put it on the stove and cook it for about 20 minutes until you can pierce it with a fork and it's tender. Then you drain it in a colander, put it in a bowl, and it looks like this, okay? Now, take your Cuisinart and put the warm celery root that is cooked into your Cuisinart. Doesn't it look just like a potato? And add some butter. And be generous. Butter is good. Butter's not going to hurt you. Okay? Some pepper. Some salt. Sea salt again. I think it's so much better. It has a better flavor. And cream. Yes, cream. We need fats in our diet. As you know from reading Get Skinny, that it explains why. Fat assists in healthy cell reproduction. Now, turn it on. You have to pulsate this for quite a while because it's tough, and you want to break it down so it has the consistency of mashed potatoes. So it takes about 4 minutes or so. Now I'm going to adjust for seasonings. Looks like mashed potatoes. Tastes better than mashed potatoes. For my taste, a little more salt. It's all up to you. And at this point, you could add a teeny bit more butter if you like. A little more salt, a little more pepper. Put this on the plate with your roasted tarragon chicken and the beautiful tarragon sauce, and you will have a dinner that will make everyone flip. I'll just mix that up. Done. Now I'm going to put it in a beautiful serving bowl and take it right to the table where everyone will be hungrily awaiting this. Isn't that great? And here you've been looking at this in the supermarket all these years and thinking, what is that? The French housewife uses celery root puree a lot, and I first had this on a trip to France, and I thought it was so divine. Okay. Voila. Delicious. Whew, okay. The chicken just came out of the oven. Is that beautiful? Now, what I'm going to do is lift this chicken right onto a platter so that I can take all these beautiful juices and make the tarragon sauce. There we go. Lovely. And collect any of the extra stuffing that falls out. Okay, now, I want you to take a look at this pan. There's just a little bit too much fat for the sauce, so I'm going to pour it off. Can you see down in the bottom here, in the bottom corner? It's too much fat because we've got all this great brown bit material on the bottom. That's where the sauce is going to come from. So pour it out and leave about a tablespoon. There. Can you see how much I left there? A lot of that is the brown bit, okay? Now we're going to take this over to the stove and make the sauce. Okay, I've turned the heat on high on both burners because you want to get maximum heat here. Look at these beautiful, beautiful brown bits. Once you get this all bubbling, we're going to add hot broth by the ladleful. So, here's the first one. Start with 2 ladles of broth and cook the, oh, look at that. This is perfect. Now, don't be upset if you don't get bits this dark. Any bits will make beautiful sauce. The way my mother used to make the sauce was before she added the broth, she would put flour, but for Somersize reasons, I don't use flour, and I found that I like it better because it doesn't get thick and glumpy. This is a beautiful light brown sauce. Okay, I think we're ready to add the 3rd ladle here, because what we want to do is cook up all the bits from the bottom. After you scrape the bottom of the pan for a while and you keep adding the broth, then all the bits from the bottom become incorporated into this sauce. Pretty soon, the bottom of the pan starts to look clear. This is looking just beautiful. Now I'm going to add my 4th ladle of hot broth. Hot broth is very important because you don't want to stop the boiling process. This is fantastic. And we'll adjust the seasonings at the end if it needs more salt and pepper, but it may not because there was so much salt and pepper on the chicken itself. Here's my 5th ladle of broth and a 6th because I had so many beautiful bits that I can afford to incorporate this. Okay, I've just about got all the bits up from the bottom. Once you get all the bits up from the bottom, which sometimes takes about 15 minutes to really get this sauce looking beautiful, then I'm going to turn off the heat and add a generous pat of butter, and that's called deglazing the pan by adding the butter. And that's when it all melts together and becomes the most beautiful sauce you've ever tasted. You adjust the seasonings and it's done. Okay, I think that we've got a sauce here. Let me take a little taste. It's perfect. Doesn't even need any salt or pepper. It's absolutely perfect. Turn it off. We're going to deglaze the pan now with a little butter. Just a little more. Remember, fat is your friend. This butter just adds the thickener at the end and smooths it out. As soon as that butter is melted, your sauce is ready to put into a sauce boat. Okay, I'm going to leave this sauce here, and I'm going to carve the chicken for our dinner. Now, when you're carving a breast, get down inside like that, make a slice, and come straight across the top like that. Beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. It's so great to eat the skin. All these years I was going without eating the chicken skin, which is so great. You spend a lot of time flavoring it. Well, with Somersizing, eat the skin. The fat is okay. Fat is your friend. Now, we're going to take out some of this beautiful sausage stuffing and put this right here on the top. Now, remember the celery root puree? Yeah? Put that like that. And let me just go over here and get some of this sauce. And to finish off your summer-sized meal, add some beautiful green beans. And here's your dinner. Now, the great thing is, if you're hungry after you finish this, have seconds. One of the great things about making a roast chicken dinner is that you can stretch this chicken for the entire week. In fact, when my son Bruce went away to college, this is the one thing I taught him because I knew he would be cooking. I said, buy yourself a chicken at the beginning every week, and you can eat off of that chicken all week long. Here's the second thing that I do with a roast chicken. When I have finished with the chicken from my roast chicken dinner, I'm left with a carcass. Never, never, never throw out your chicken carcass or your turkey carcass. Bones are what the basis of an incredible soup. So now I'm going to make the most delicious stock. When you're making a stock, everything is important. Take every little bit off the plate, all that gelatinous leftover stuff from the chicken. Get that in there because this is all about flavor. Now, open your refrigerator door and start cleaning. I had some mushrooms left over from the mushroom sausage stuffing. Throw them in. I had some parsley. It's all clean and washed. Throw it in. Had an extra onion left over from Ellen's awesome eggs in the morning. Throw the extra onion in. I had some extra pieces of raw celery root. Throw it in. I also happen to have had some cooked celery root and some extra stuffing. Guess what? Throw it in. It's going to make flavor. This is how the peasant housewife would cook. They would never throw a thing away. They used everything. There's no waste. You know those celery root tops from yesterday, from that celery root? Throw it in. You have to cut it in maybe thirds just so it will fit in the pot. Put it in. I happen to have had some extra celery in the refrigerator. Cut that into thirds and throw it in. This is going to make the most delicious, rich stock. And about 20 black peppercorns, whole ones. Just throw them in. Okay, then you just take tap water and you pretty much fill this up. You're going to leave this on the stove for 8 hours. Bring it to a boil. As soon as it reaches a boil, turn it down to simmer as low, as low, as low as you can get it, and just let it steam in there so that all the flavor comes out of these vegetables. Okay, we just about have enough here. Okay, now put it on the stove. Okay, the soup is on. Now all you do is let it come to a boil. The moment it reaches a boil, turn it down to simmer as low as you can make it go and let it simmer for about 8 hours. And what happens is all the flavors of all those beautiful vegetables melt together and the stock keeps reducing and reducing and reducing and the flavor gets richer and richer within the reduction. And then you have an incredible stock. Now, the next thing you do after the 8 hours when this is all finished is you take that stock and you strain it in a colander into a smaller pot about this size. And this is what you are left with. Clear, beautiful chicken stock. We're going to use this to make our soup today, but whatever you have left over, I like to put in Ziploc bags, and then you lay them flat in the freezer like this, and they freeze flat, and when they're frozen, then you kind of stand them up on their side, and whenever you need chicken stock, you take out a bag and defrost it in the microwave, and you've got fresh, beautiful chicken stock. Okay, now we're going to make chicken cilantro soup. This is so easy. Take a can of tomatoes and chop them up with all their juice and put that in this beautiful chicken stock. Okay, simple. We have leftover chicken from last night's chicken. We cut it up into little pieces, break it up like that, and put that into your chicken stock. That's about all we need. Then you take cilantro that's been all chopped up and put this in here like that. Some oregano, a little pepper, and now we'll add a little salt. Again, sea salt. I think the flavor is so much better in sea salt. You'll probably add more salt later on. Okay. Just mix this around. Put this on the stove. Cook it for about 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, the chicken cilantro soup is on. Now this cooks for about 30 to 40 minutes, and this, as opposed to the stock, bring it to a boil and let it boil. Let it boil down so it reduces even more. It'll get richer and more flavorful, and the vegetables will all cook together. And do save a little bit of the cilantro for garnish and a little bit of the oregano for garnish at the last minute. Okay, it's been about 40 minutes, and our chicken cilantro soup is ready. Remember, we've got the stock pot on the stove from this chicken. We're making the chicken cilantro soup from that same chicken. Look at this beautiful, beautiful soup. I mean, you could open a restaurant on this soup. Look at that. Mmm, yum. Rich, filled with chicken pieces. Mmm, maybe just a little more. Okay. Now, just garnish it with a little fresh chopped cilantro for color and just a smidgen of oregano. And you have a delicious soup. I'll take a sip for you. Mm, mm, mm. Mm. Mm, mm. Now, remember, we started with one chicken. This is how you make a chicken last the whole week. Now we're going to make chicken tarragon sandwiches. Sandwiches, you say? Chicken sandwiches? That's not Somersize. Ah, but Somersize sandwiches are made inside a lettuce leaf. So this is all you do. You take some of that leftover chicken that you had from the roast chicken, put it into a bowl. Then you take some red pepper that's been chopped up, put that in the bowl. Some sweet onion, Vidalia or Maui are real good. Put that chopped up in there. Some celery chopped up. A little tarragon. Save some of the tarragon for garnish, just a little. And some mayonnaise. There we go. Put the mayonnaise. And some green onions, half of which you'll save for garnish at the end. But we want to put a few inside. Some salt. And fresh ground pepper. Fresh ground pepper is always better than pepper that's already pre-ground out of a can. And it doesn't take any more time. Okay, now we just mix this together. This is so delicious. And the nice thing about a Somersize sandwich is you can have as many as you want. If it takes 3 to fill you up, have 3. If you want 4, 5, doesn't matter. There's no portion control. That's the most incredible thing about eating this way. Mayonnaise is okay. Now, I'm going to taste this. Remember, a good cook always tastes her food along the way to adjust for seasoning. I think I'll put a little bit more salt and a little bit more pepper. See, if you hadn't tasted it, you wouldn't know. And you'd serve it and you'd eat it and you'd think, good, it just needs a little more salt. Okay, now we're ready to make a Somersize sandwich. Take a lettuce leaf, scoop it inside as much as you like. Okay, before you roll it up like a taco, you sprinkle just a little bit of tarragon, a couple more chopped up scallions. Roll it up like a taco. Best sandwich ever. Have as many as you want. Yum. Now, we are still working from that one chicken. Isn't this incredible? This is the resourceful housewife. But really, why wouldn't you want to cook this way? Because the things that we're making with this chicken are so incredible. And it really all starts with that roasted chicken. Now remember, for the tarragon chicken, we did the mushroom sausage stuffing. So you put now the rest of this stuffing into a bowl. And we're going to stuff vegetables with this stuffing. It's a little different from what's in the Eat Great, Lose Weight cookbook, but this is what you can do with the leftover mushroom sausage stuffing. Say that 10 times really fast. Okay, you know how to hollow an onion. You just cut off the top and you scoop out the center, okay? Same thing with a tomato. You cut off the top, scoop out the center. And with a zucchini raw, you just scoop out the center. Now we've got a zucchini boat and we've got these little holders. What we want to do with this stuffing is add some beaten eggs, because that will bind it together, and it's all going to cook, so there's nothing to worry about. Okay, move it around a little bit like that. Because of the egg, I like to add a little bit more pepper and a little bit more salt. And if you like a kick, this is optional, just a pinch of hot red pepper flakes. Just adds a little, okay. Okay, here we go. Now, we're going to stuff this onion with this beautiful, beautiful stuffing. Simple, isn't it? Okay. This is like the third night's dinner. Isn't that incredible? Put it in the pan here. Sprinkle it with a little Parmesan, as I have with all of these. Pretty generously, because you want it to make a crust in the oven heat. All right. Now we're going to fill the zucchini boat just exactly the same way. So simple and so delicious. This makes a dinner all in itself. Serve this with a salad. Okay. And after I finish stuffing this tomato, then we'll put Parmesan on the top of both of those. And then what I like to do at the very end, over the Parmesan cheese is just dot it all with butter. It just does something. Who knows what it is? It just makes it taste really yummy. Okay, so a little dot of butter right here, and you put that on all of them. So that butter will melt down and start making the onion get kind of candied and caramelized. You want to cook these for about 40 minutes in the oven at 350, and you want the onions to cook down so that it's not white anymore, so that it gets kind of brown and golden. That's when it'll be really great. And you finish it like that. All right, just took the stuffed vegetables Provençal out of the oven. These are so easy. Again, remember this was from that one chicken. There's the onion. Here's the beautiful zucchini and a lovely tomato. Wouldn't that be a beautiful dinner? And spoon some of these canned juices all over this. This is a great dinner. Light, great little summer dinner. Bon appetit. Do you love blue cheese dressing? I love it. You will never, ever again buy that bottled sugary stuff from the supermarket, because what I'm going to teach you is so easy and so delicious. This is how you make blue cheese dressing. And it's summer-sized. You can have it when you're summer-sizing. Fat is your friend. Remember that. Take a carton of sour cream. And if you want to make it just a single serving, then you kind of would take as much sour cream as you would need for your own salad. But I'm making a large portion here, which would serve about 4, okay? Carton of sour cream. Take some crumbled blue cheese. Make sure you get a good quality, like Maytag Blue is my favorite, or Roquefort. Yummy, okay? Put that in there. A spoonful of red wine vinegar. A little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. And now you mix. That's all you do to make blue cheese dressing. It's absolutely delicious when you make it fresh. Okay, got a taste. Remember, a good chef tastes their own food. Needs a little salt. Just maybe another blip blip of vinegar. A little more pepper. That's the important thing about tasting, because you don't want to get it on the salad and then taste it and think, I wish I had done it differently. Okay, I think that's going to be perfect. It's simple, isn't it? And it's divine. It's better than anything you'll ever get store-bought. Let me take one more taste. Perfect. Okay, now what we're going to do is iceberg wedges with blue cheese and a few cherry tomatoes. And then you start cutting it into wedges like this. For each plate, you put one of these beautiful wedges. Put a dollop or 2 of sour cream and a few cherry tomatoes to dip in. Yum, yum. Okay, I'm going to make you broccoli and cauliflower with a garlic lemon vinaigrette. This is the best vinaigrette I've ever tasted, and I did not make this up. My friend Mizu, who is a French housewife in the south of France, taught me how to make this. The first time I ever had her salad, I just couldn't believe how great it tasted, and she showed me. It's simple as pie. Well, pie is not simple. This is simple. Okay, first you take your garlic. You know, you take the flat of the big knife, kind of press it down, and then the whole skin just peels off real easily like that. Okay, I like to use 2 cloves of garlic in mine, but some people like less, some people like more. 2 is pretty pungent. Put it in a garlic press, squeeze it out. Okay, now salt right on top of the garlic, about a 1/4 teaspoon. Some fresh ground pepper, about 4 grounds. Now, take a lemon. Before you cut a lemon, roll it against your chopping block. It loosens it and makes it juicier. So good. Cut it in half. First you pour in olive oil, about, I'd say, a 1/4 cup. Again, I do this according to feel. If you see how much I've got going in there. mashing that garlic around, mashing it around into the bowl with the olive oil. Now we're going to squeeze in, try to not take out the seeds, squeeze in a half of a lemon, but you don't have to squeeze it to death, you know what I mean? Okay, now taste for seasonings. Always taste. Oh, that's so good. I think it's perfect. Okay. Take your steamed broccoli and cauliflower. You could steam it earlier in the day and just let it cool off a little bit. Pour it onto the vegetables. Always get those great things off the bottom of the bowl. Okay. And gently toss. And what a great way to have vegetables. Just absolutely delicious. Okay, now we're going to make turkey prosciutto piccata with a port glaze. This is so easy and so good. You can make it for company. It's absolutely delicious. What you do is you go to your butcher and you have him cut turkey cutlets and then have him pound it till it's flat. If he won't do it, when you come home, put it between two pieces of wax paper and pound it flat. But you hope that he'll do it. Okay, then you put coarse brown pepper and you take some fresh sage leaves and you press them into the turkey cutlets like this. So simple. Next, we're going to take a piece of prosciutto, which is an Italian cured ham. Make sure that your butcher slices it paper thin. Look how thin this is. Okay? You lay it on top of your turkey cutlet like this and press it together. And this is where you get the salt for your piccata. Do the same thing over here. Press this down. Okay, we're ready to go to the stove. Simple, isn't it? I turned the heat on under this saucepan here because I want the pan to be very hot. Add a little olive oil, a little bit of butter. That's the beautiful thing about summersizing. Fat is your friend. Swirl that around. Nice and hot. Okay, time to put the first cutlet in. Okay, we want to put the prosciutto side down because we want the prosciutto to get like bacon, almost crispy like bacon. What's going to happen here is there are going to be little bits on the bottom of the fry pan from the prosciutto. That's very important. And when I turn it over and get some bits from the turkey, that's what's going to be the basis for the port glaze. It's very important. That's why you have high heat, and you want to make sure that you get some bits on the bottom. This looks like it's ready to turn over now. Look at that. Is that beautiful? Okay. Cook this for about 2 minutes on the turkey side now until it's cooked all the way through. And that's all you have to do. And then I'm going to teach you how to make the port glaze. As you can see here, the bottom of the turkey cutlet is brown, so it's done. And we're going to slip this onto a plate, like so. Okay. I'm going to pour off a little of this fat, because you don't want too much. Just leave about a spoonful there. And now we're going to add the port. As you pour in the port, it's going to steam up. Add about a cup of port. Now, this is very important. You keep cooking this until it starts reducing. You want it to be thick and syrupy. And you don't want it to be watery. If it looks watery, you don't want to put that over this beautiful turkey and prosciutto. You want to get this to be very syrupy. You can see that this is now reduced to a syrup. It's about half of the port that I put in. It's been reduced down to half. So I'm going to turn off the gas, and I'm going to deglaze the pan by adding about a tablespoon of butter. Now this butter is going to thicken this beautiful sauce. Look at this. It's like syrup. It's very important to keep scraping the bits off the bottom. That's why so many of the Somersize recipes are so delicious. We pan fry the food, then you take the bits on the bottom of the pan, you add either broth or wine, in this case port, you reduce, keep scraping up the bits, and at the very end you deglaze with butter. You can make so many beautiful sauces that way. And look at this sauce. Look at that. It's like syrup. It's been reduced to a caramely kind of port sauce. Now, I'm going to take this over to my beautiful cutlets and drizzle it across these turkey prosciutto cutlets. You could serve this for any dinner party. And the great thing, if you want to serve this for a dinner party, is you can get the cutlets all pressed together with the sage and the prosciutto beforehand. Do it in the morning, put them on a plate in the refrigerator, and at the last minute, when your guests are there, you come down and you assemble this dish, and it takes 5 minutes. Isn't that beautiful? And it's so delicious and so tasty, so flavorful. Now we're going to make dessert, and I'm going to start by making you a sugarless cheesecake. Now you have 2 options in the sugarless cheesecake. You can use NutraSweet, and you know what I say about NutraSweet in the book, but when you're on level 1, sometimes you're just craving to have a dessert, and if you use the NutraSweet, then this dessert is absolutely a free dessert. There will be no sugar in it at all, will not spike your insulin levels at all, but there are side effects with NutraSweet. Or you can use a ½ cup of sugar. Now, if you consider a ½ cup of sugar for a whole cheesecake, it kind of amortizes and you don't get a lot per slice. But anyway, this is your choice. ½ cup of sugar makes it level 2. The NutraSweet makes it level 1. Now, this is so simple and it's so delicious. You take 2 8-ounce packages of cream cheese, put it in a mixing bowl. I'm going to use the NutraSweet for this one, 12 packets of NutraSweet. Okay, and we're going to start mixing this together just till it's creamy, which doesn't take very long. Okay, now I'm going to add the eggs, 3 eggs, 1 at a time. 1. Okay, second egg. And now the third egg. Add a little lemon juice, vanilla, and salt. Okay, that's all incorporated. Now I'm going to add the sour cream. It's 3 cups of sour cream. Again, remember, when you're summersizing, fat is your friend. Your body will take what it needs and assimilate the rest. Okay, I'm going to mix this in. Okay, now, before you pour into your springform pan, you put wax paper on the bottom, and then you butter it all around the sides, and then put some aluminum foil on the outside like this to keep it watertight, because we're going to put it in a roasting pan with water, like a water bath, and cook it in that. All right. Pour it into your buttered pan. There we go. Get everything from the sides. After you pour the batter into your springform pan, then just shake it and level it a little bit. Now, you have a roasting pan with hot water in it. You place this right in the center. And what we're going to do now is place this in the oven for an hour. Okay, and here is the finished cheesecake. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely sugarless, delicious. You can have this cheesecake on level 1 when you're losing weight. What I've done is made a little raspberry puree. I just took some fresh raspberries and Cuisinarted them. I decorated it with rose petals, and it's perfect.